Hello, everyone. Stephanie Zima here. Stephanie Zima here with Walk It Free, where we heal, connect, and level up. Okay, so today we're going to be talking a little bit about anxiety and communication and how to increase that with your team because it's really, really important, and especially as we are heading into the summer and having all these things that we are dealing with, right? There are several challenges that parents and adults are encountering. Understanding and addressing these challenges can really help you foster an effective communication and much stronger relationships. And that is what we want, right? We want a really good relationship with our kiddos, with our family in general, and it's important. So, some of the biggest challenges include number one, emotional volatility. It's the German in me, you guys. Please forgive me if my words don't come out that right way. Volatility, I think it is, right? So teens are going through a stage of rapid emotional development, and this can lead to mood swings, right? Who knows and has experienced some of these mood swings. They can actually be quite interesting. But yes, do not fret. Those are completely normal, right? They are going through through this rapid emotional development, and this can really just bring them on, right? They have heightened sensitivity, so they are sensitive to every single thing, and they have really explosive, strong reactions, emotional reactions. And that comes with you know, just the development part. And we need to know this. We need to know this. We need to expect that. We need to just be understanding of it. And when we are, then our conversations can take a whole different turn, right? It normally is challenging to navigate the emotions and the conversations when all the emotions are running high. But if you can stay calm because you have the knowledge that that is normal, that you know that they cannot influence it, it's just something that is happening, then maybe you can really come together as a team versus having it be argumentative and blow up and any of that stuff. So emotional volatility is really number one. Then peer influence is another thing that influences the conversations, right? So during adolescence, peer relationships become increasingly important, and teens often seek validation and acceptance from their peers. That too is so normal and it's necessary, right? Sometimes we get threatened. That's not nice. What? My watch is talking to me. So sometimes we get threatened when our kids are pulling away, and they are starting to talk to friends and they're shutting us out as moms, right? Sometimes we feel like, wow, ouch, why I've diapered you, I've done all the things for you, and now you don't want nothing to do with me. You have to keep in mind that that is something that is so natural. That is something that is necessary. They have to take that step to separate themselves emotionally from the bond that they have with you. And if you as a mom are secure enough in who you are and what you've done and what your values are and as a person, and you should, if you haven't done personal development and self-care, you should really invest in that, because it's important even when they are getting out and going on to college, right? If you are focusing only on your children, then you're not doing yourself or them a favor, because they have to learn how to be separate, how to stand separate, how to become their own anatomic person, right? Okay, so it's important that they do that, and even that they are seeking the outside connection and acceptance from their peers. Now, this can sometimes lead to the resistance, right, from us parents, as I just talked about it. But it's really important. Communicating effectively with your teens require acknowledging and respecting. Okay, we forget that too. We need to respect our teens. We need to respect our not preschoolers, yeah, those two. We need to respect them because we want them to be independent. We want to do that, and we want them to also seek out peers and become aware that some peers are the ones that you want to follow and connect with and become friends with, and some peers are not the ones you want to. Now, before you can do that, right, and you want to guide them and give them support through this. So at this peer influence stage, you have to have conversations about what are your family's values? What do you stand for? What is important to you as a mom? What is important to you as a dad? What is important to you as a family? What are your main principles? And then you want to teach them that when they are looking for their peers, that they're going to gravitate to those people who have the very same. Okay, birds of a feather flock together, and that's the same thing. Now, we have to love everybody, that's for sure. We should all be loving and kind to everybody, but we do not have to like everyone. And it's really important to also know that oil and oil mixes good together, and water mixes good together. But oil and water, if you make an experiment and put it on a plate, oil and water does not mix together. And sometimes we force this onto people, but it doesn't have to be. You have to respect each other. You have to show each other love and kindness and acceptance of one another, but you don't have to become everyone's best friend. And when you can communicate this, then you can also communicate that your teen is supposed to be finding themselves people that have the same interests as they have, the same the same values as your family goes and stuff. And when you can do that, that's a good influence. And that when you foster friendships and community and those kind of things, those are good influences. So peer influences is not always bad. It's a good one. For example, we were at a swim meet today, and I always tell my daughters that we get up and we cheer for one another. We cheer for the other person. We are happy for the other person. That is important to teach the children to be happy for somebody. Competition is important. Yes, competition, you want to have competition. Competition does not have to be friendly all the time, but you have to be fair. And you have to be teaching your child that it's okay to cheer on other people who are winning, right? Give them a hand. Give them a hand and cheer them on. That's good sportsmanship, okay? That doesn't mean that you don't want to beat them in the next race, of course, but you still want to cheer people on. And it's important that we are teaching our kiddos that, and that we are also letting other people see that and do that. So peer influence, very important. Now, another thing that is a problem with communication in this time and age is the limited attention span. In today's fast-paced digital age, teens are often absolutely bombarded with information and distractions. They may have shorter attention spans, making it challenging to hold their focus during conversations, okay? Finding ways to engage with their interests and creating meaningful interactions becomes absolutely crucial in capturing their attention. Now, I want to add to that you have to be mindful when your kiddo is on social media a lot. And when I say social media, I'm not necessarily talking Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, any of those things. I am talking also about the YouTube shorts, right? Our kids watch the YouTube, and YouTube shorts are 30-second increments or 1-minute increments, and it basically retrains our brain to only focus on those small things. Okay, now when we focus on these small things, this is where we are going to have this is where we are going to train our kiddos' brains to have a short attention span. So it takes a little bit of a parent effort to teach them how to make eye contact, how to take a look at what you're saying, how to focus on closing the loop. And when I say closing the loop, this is an example that I've heard once before, and it's making so much sense. It's resonating so much with my family. It's like, those loom bands that everybody is like making. Those loom bands are made out of little rubber band loops, and they have to be looped together, and then they become this bracelet. Now, if you are forgetting to take and close a loop, right, on this bracelet, what happens? it all falls apart and now you have a whole bunch of loose rubber bands. That's exactly the same thing. So if somebody makes themselves a sandwich and they're not closing the loop, meaning finishing the putting the butter away, putting the knife and into the dishwasher, and wiping down the countertop. If they're not doing this, they're not closing the loop. They're not finishing the task. They just maybe grabbed something and ran, right? And who here can relate with that? I mean, this is number one. I'm teaching my children right now. That is number one. Clean up your messes, close the loop. Clean up your messes, close the loop. Right? Clean up after self, close the loop. And what it is, it's not just helping me not to have anxiety about everybody's mess during summer, but it also helps them to have a task, see it all the way through, focus on it until it's completed. And that is a skill that is needed, especially when you counteract everything that is happening with social media right now and those YouTube shorts, right? So capture their attention with something that interests them, explain this to them. Where's the benefit for them? If they finish, if they can set themselves a goal and they can finish it, how much of a benefit would they have, right? And sometimes you have to have good boundaries. Like, my kids are working right now on a project that I just explained to them. We wrote it all on the board. I made it very clear as to what I'm expecting, number one, number two, number three. They put the action items into their to-do list app so that they can work it off. This is how I train my kids to focus on the tasks. This is how I train them how to do the things that they need to do. And yes, it is maybe excessive for some people. However, that is life skills that they're going to need as an adult. They're going to need this later on. They need to be able to work with social media, yet also function in a world like where they need to get stuff done, right? It's super, super important. So I had to just send a friend home because they were not able to focus on their tasks with a friend there. So I said, okay, no, you need to finish first what you need to do, and then we can play. This is another one of my principles. Work first, play second, right? Play hard, yes, but work first. Work needs to be done first. Those are clear principles that I have as a family, right? Or we have as a family, not just me, my husband too. So we have that as a family. So make sure you have that and then follow through with that. And that is where you combat this limited attention span. Now the generation gap. Okay, that's another big one. Generation gap and differing perspectives. Teens may have different opinions, they may have different values, they may have different perspectives than their parents and other adults in their life. This generation gap can really lead to misunderstandings and conflicts during communication. Building empathy and active listening to their viewpoints can help bridge the gap and create more constructive dialogue. Okay. I remember the times with my bonus daughter when she was going through that age. My daughter is not quite there yet, but I remember it with my bonus daughter, and she was very passionate about a few topics, political especially, and my husband has different opinions on this, and I remember that they were clashing a lot. And when you agree to disagree, when you are valuing each other's viewpoints, you can communicate love and you can foster. You don't have to agree, but you have to learn how to respect one another. And you can foster in a situation and you role model of how you want your children to interact in situations like that. So you can, like, when you take this open your mindset to an opportunity growth oriented mindset, right, with this situation. If you take your conflict that you have in that moment and say, okay, you have different viewpoints than I have, now we're gonna have to come up with a win and a win. Okay, so you win, I win, we win as a family. So that means we need to respect one another. We need to understand their viewpoint. We have to foster love and belonging, right? Everyone is safe and everyone is able to speak what they want to speak. Everyone is able to be heard and to be seen as who they are. It's really important to have that happen in that environment, because when they feel heard and seen, they will also come back and tell you later on what is going on for them, and what, because they understand that even if you do not agree with them, you are going to still hear them and you're still going to respect that. Now, you want that. Why would you want that as a parent? Think about it. If you do not have that basis of conversation with your children, what you're going to get is you get them to shut down and not going to talk to you. Okay, you want to be able to remember what your goal is. Your goal is to be guiding and influencing, and if they don't open up to you because they're feeling like you are not going to ever agree with them, or you're not going to let them speak, or you're not going to hear what they have to say, they are not likely going to tell you, and therefore you lose your influence and your ability to guide. Okay, that's very important. So keep that in mind when you are trying to be right. Okay, yes, you want to come up with a win and win, but don't just be right for the sake of being right. And also keep in mind that yes, these little guys, they are so smart. They have still an innocence that many adults are losing when they're getting older. They're losing that perspective. They're trying and paying big money to go back to that joyful, carefree age group at that time. Okay, so make sure you are keeping them valuable in your brain, to like listen to their perspective, open up your heart and really listen to them, what they have to say. Their viewpoints may be good, their viewpoints may be something you can learn from. We need to take that seriously. Okay, all right. Privacy concerns also is something that teens are having issues with. They value their privacy and they may really be hesitant in sharing the personal information or experiences with you. The desire for privacy can have the really put really big barriers to your communication, and it's going to be hard. So what you want to do is kind of what I just talked about. You want to make sure you are as safe and non-judgmental as possible. Okay, now that does not mean that you need to let them get away with murder here. You need to still have your boundaries. I talked about this yesterday a little bit, so if you haven't caught yesterday, make sure you catch yesterday's video. But make sure you have non-judgmental in this safe environment, that they feel comfortable in sharing their thoughts and their feelings. Now on to technology and social media, right? It's really, technology, as everybody knows, is on the rise, and social media has significantly impacted the way how teens are communicating and interacting. Online platforms can amplify the peer influence, expose teens to unrealistic standards, and even more so than magazines, and contribute to the fear of missing out. We call it FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. And it is important for parents and adults to be aware that these influences and engage, that these influences exist, and they need to engage with conversations about responsible technology use and digital well-being. Now, what is responsible technology use? Okay, when you look around, and you need to kind of point, instead of pointing the finger at other people, like my kid is like this, we adults need to be big enough to take responsibility, to realize that 4 fingers kind of pointing back at ourselves. We need to take a look at how many hours do we sit mindlessly scrolling on social media, or are we using social media for entertainment in the moments that we need it, and looking up and making connection purposely in the other times, right? So they will mirror what they see from you. If you are constantly on your device, likely they will be on their device. If you are not seeking connection, they will also likely not seeking connection. So you have to do this consciously. You have to discipline yourself to consciously create opportunity to move through and and be there and ask for this, ask for it. You might not be getting it right away, but you ask for it. You have to ask for it, right? If you don't ask, you don't get. You don't ask, you don't receive. You have to ask for it. It is really important because as adults, think about this, adults getting addicted to social media and online influences in our devices. So are the children. Children are also, like, their brains are not developed yet, so they are getting even more so. Now, how do we deal with this peer influence on it, and the filters and the perfectionism and the comparison and all those kind of things? How do we deal with that? The way how I deal with that with my kiddos, and my kiddos don't have access to social media yet, but I work obviously with social media a lot. So the way how I deal with that is I make sure that we know our value. I know that we do not have to be jealous of other people, because we too can have everything. So when I see that my kids get into comparinitis, and when they think about comparing, what I tell them is use those as inspirations, how to make a to-do list of, like, I like this, I like that, I like that, I love that, and then make yourself a list and have that serve as your goal list. If this person can have it, then you too can have it. If you really like this, not because you want to be loved, or if you really like this, you too can have it. It's a scarcity mindset of so many people, thinking that when they see something else and they have to be jealous about it because they can't have it. Well, you too can have every single thing, okay? And it's an abundant personal mindset that will make that happen. So that is that. But focus on developing confidence, self-confidence within self, within your teen, within your kid in general. Make sure that they know, what am I good at? What do I like to do? What do I love to do? How do I get rest? How do I feel good? How do I calm down from my emotions? How do I regulate my emotions? Those things are important. And when you respect that and you have like clarity around it, self-confidence builds. Okay? So overcoming these challenges, really just be patient with yourself. It requires patience. It requires active listening, adapting communication strategies to meet unique needs of each teen. Everyone is different. Not everyone is the same, but you are going to be able to find it out. The more you try, the more you put yourself in that position, you're going to find it out, okay? Creating the safe and trusting environment where teens feel heard and respected is absolutely essential for fostering effective communication and maintaining strong relationships. They have to know that they are okay. And you have to know that you are okay too when your teen is going to pull off a little bit and becomes more independent. You want that happening. You need that happening, okay? You want them to be able to function in the world and in environment with other people as well. So if you found this valuable, do me a favor, share this with somebody you know that needs to see that. Do me a favor, leave me a comment, say #replay if you watched it later on. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you are going to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you tomorrow.